Hello, I am Thabo Meerkat. I'm one of the older Dutch furries. I myself have a little YouTube channel, but I am mostly busy with a lot of events, especially charity events. A lot of people know me from Digging on Positivity, which is a series I have on my YouTube channel. But I'm also that person that keeps a track of all the charities around the world by furries. And last year, we all collectively raised 1.9 million US dollars worldwide, almost 2 million. And I'm so incredibly proud of that. I was volunteering for Euroferns for 20 years as a large part of the charity team. And these days, I'm still doing some things for Euroferns, but mostly I'm at Nordic Fuscon, where I am part of the charity team as well, and often being found on stage. And a lot of people from Nordic Fuscon know me as that dude that got shaven on stage during the closing ceremony. So that's me. Hi.
And what got you started in the furry fandom initially?
Ooh. Well, we go back a long, long time ago, 30 years, in fact, to the dates. Um, I found back then the internet was a completely different beast as what it was now. And during that time, I was a huge fan of the Disney film The Lion King. It was just out, we're talking 1995. And I started to look online about, well, things related to Disney, and it turns out that The Lion King had a rather big fandom. For the time, we're talking hundreds of people, which was unheard of back in the days. And through that fandom, eventually I found out about a couple of other Dutch fans, and we started to get together, and we found that weird thing that there were more people that loved anthropomorphic art, and those were furries. So I got in, well, not the start of the furry fandom, but the start of the Dutch furry fandom. Back then, there were like a dozen of Dutch furs spread out of the country. And I think that these days we're having thousands of Dutch furs around. It's well, times changed, but we just got bigger and bigger. So yeah.
Fascinating. I think a lot of furries started off their like understanding of the fandom from Disney movies and things. And I've
Oh
heard
yeah.
a lot of like The Lion King was one. Oh gosh, like Fantasia was another. Like everything just drags the furries together. It's really, really cool to see over the years how the trends of things.
Oh yes.
Like
When you're talking about those movies, the what we refer to as furry incubators. The Lion King was a huge furry incubator, but don't forget Robin Hood. Robin Hood stole the hearts of so many. And one of the most recent furry incubators was Zootopia. And I spoken to one of the animators there. They knew what they were doing.
isn't Zootopia 2 coming out very soon? Like this is going out in January 2026. So this is being recorded in
Hmm.
late 2025. That's coming out very soon
Yeah.
for us. Now
Hmm.
I'll admit, I'll put my paws up. I had not seen Zootopia for like a couple of years. And Jeannie Beats
Hmm.
mentioned it to me a couple of years ago on the podcast about watching it. And my homework after that podcast was to go and watch Zootopia. And I can confirm I've seen it many, many times. And the bad guys, I think, as well, has a lot to answer for. And Bad Guys 2
Hmm.
just came out as well. And myself and my friend went to go see it in the cinema. And apart from like parents of children that were there, we were the oldest and probably the coolest people watching it that day.
Yeah, about bad guys. I unfortunately, well, think that the bad guys are a victim of the same thing that Cats Don't Dance got a victim of. Because Cats Don't Dance is one of my favorite animation movies of all times. But bad guys, the marketing, they got a shoestring budget. And in the Netherlands, for example, I had to travel half the country to get to a cinema where it was running in the original language. Well, of course, you're in an English speaking country, so you got English and you got English, but we only got the Dutch version everywhere. And the English version was literally in just, I think, a handful of cinemas across the country. And people that I spoke to is like, hey, have you seen Bad Guys 2? And they were like, is there a Bad Guys 2? And not even in the Netherlands, but in the US, a lot of people did not even know that the movie was existing. So it's doing very poor at the box office, but not because it's a bad movie. It's because the marketing is extremely poor. And Warner Brothers has pulled this stunt before with several movies. But then again, Disney ain't all clean with that either. I know some wonderful gems in the Disney studio that got buried over under poor performance due to poor marketing. Treasure Planet is a very good example.
I don't think I've ever seen another meerkat persona.
There are some meerkats, but the problem is we're all underground, so you don't see us that often. Um, But there are some other rather well-known meerkats, not of lately, but we have Tim Duru. Tim Duru is a French meerkat who is doing a lot of behind the scenes for Wikifur, but also for Megaplex and some other items. Titash was a well-known artist. Unfortunately, he's not active that much these days. But yeah, why a meerkat? I did not start out as a meerkat. For the longest time, I was known as a skunk. And but I chose a meerkat because it is a creature that really has extremely strong family ties and ties to their friends, and they always look out for each other. And um, if you well they go till the end to protect their friends family and make sure that everybody is right. They're very social aware animals.
That's just a really cool backstory to your character. I just picked
Mm.
a cat because it was cool, you know?
Well, that's as valid as a reason as it is. Your animal, of course, for Tabo, there is a complete backstory in character that I like creating backstories. But if somebody chooses a cat because they just like cats, that is perfectly fine. I mean, we don't have to treat everything like a role-playing game that you are not my friend if you come without 4 pages of backstory.
So you mentioned earlier on being involved with Eurofurence. Am I right in thinking you used to
Hmm.
run the newspaper there?
Um, Partly. I was running the funny papers, and I still do. Um, Part of the daily Eurofurence, the new when the newspaper started out, the guy who run the newspaper, Lux, approached me because what is a newspaper without the funny pages? There needs to be a comic in the newspapers because, to be fair, I think it's with you as well the case, or at least it was with me. You read the newspaper. The first thing you do, you go to the last page and you read the funny papers. That's all, always. I always did that, even my dad. And so I started to draw the little cartoon. And eventually we got this format of good idea, bad idea. And that really stuck with the times. So ever since the very beginning of the newspaper, I think it's now already 10 years ago, more than that. I was drawing good idea, bad idea comics of all sorts of ideas around the convention that were very well received, and down to the very last ones, people seem to love them. So I just keep on drawing them. And the fun part is, I draw them off-site these days because they take a little bit too much time. Back in the days, I did draw them in other people, their sketchbooks, and I took a picture of it, and that picture ended up in the newspaper. And these days, we're doing it digitally, and I'm doing them off-site. So that's why I can still do them, but I won't be at Eurofurence themselves, which I must admit, every year a lot of people are getting confused because every year I get messages from, hey, we're looking for you. Where are you? And thinking that I was at Eurofurence because this year they heard me during the intro because I voiced the charity video. I created that entirely. And I did the newspaper items, but I wasn't there on location. And at one time I even said from, okay, where are you right now? I'm in the main hall. Oh, that's cool. Turn to the left. Yes. Okay. You see there that entrance, the little door? Yeah, I do see the door. Okay, walk through that door and then continue for 1500 kilometers and you're at my house.
Just a small little short, short stroll away. You're grand.
Yeah, indeed. I'm there in spirit.
So you mentioned earlier on about your YouTube channel. When did you
Yeah.
start it and why?
I start my YouTube channel, I think by now, almost 20 years ago, but it wasn't really active back then. I did upload a couple of video clips that I worked on, and those were not even furry related. And I did upload a couple of furry adjacent little clips, but that's about it. I think that in 2016, yeah, 2016, 17, something like that, I started with a little top 10 of furry conventions that raise the most for charity. And for just to see how it would go, I started with a little series called Digging Up Positivity, just a little test episode. Even though it had only a few viewers, the response to that was very good. So I decided to continue with that. And we're now going into year 9. So it is not it. I really like the small but very positive and dedicated crowd that I'm getting from that, and it really is so much fun to see people messaging me saying that they were feeling a little bit down and they love to check out my YouTube channel in order to feel a little bit nice again for a little bit of positive energy. And I myself did start this channel to force myself to look at the positive side of things as well, because there were, especially during the plague times and afterwards, especially in the last few years, there is a lot of negative babbling online. There's a lot of doom scrolling, and I try to be a little bit an oasis of good stuff because there's still so much good things happening in the world as we speak today. But if you look at social media or if you look at the average news sites, it's all doom and gloom. And I'm trying to show that there are still some good things as well.
What would be your advice for someone who's starting off in YouTube for the first time?
Collaboration is the road to success. These days, YouTube is going through a very, very difficult time. It always does. But one trap that I see people fall in time and time again, the numbers aren't everything, but most of it, you, people go to your channel for you. So if you pretend to be someone else, you will most likely meet yourself in a very bad way in the future because you keep on playing someone else. And eventually that mask either starts to slip voluntarily or not, or you just get tired of your played character. But if you are yourself, then people come there and see there, and if they return, they visit you for what you are and what you do. And if you don't play a complete other character than that you are, because of course if you are online you're slightly different, you always present yourself the best you want to be. But if you play a completely different character for a completely different audience, that audience is going to be shell-shocked if you turn into yourself, so to speak, because they're not used to it. And I've seen that with a lot of people that they finally got this very successful big channel, But those people aren't there for themselves, for this person. They are there for the person they are playing or the person they pretend to be. And if you are a little bit genuine, usually the chance for burnout is a lot less.
Fabulous. Thank you so, so much. I'm afraid
Hmm.
we're coming to the end of our time together this evening, but if you could let
Oh,
people know where they can find you online, please.
well, you can find me on Thabo Meerkat as Thabo Meerkat on YouTube. Um, I hope you link my channel name and everything. I am also on TikTok as Thabo Meerkat on Blue Sky. That is my primary social network, so to speak. But for other people, I'm also on Instagram, on Facebook. And if you look for Thabo Meerkat, you will most likely find me there in the first few hits.